Welcome back to Kevin Toll Reads. So today I have another video in the deep dive character study, and today's character is Harry Dresden. Harry Dresden is the fictional character created by Jim Butcher. He spans the 17 novels in one short story collection that are today known as the Dresden Files. The book started in book one with Stormfront, and that was published in 2000. It is not a finished series. It is a fantasy series in the fantasy genre and the subgenre of urban fantasy, as in most of the stories are contained in Harry's hometown, which is Chicago, Illinois. There was a TV series made about the Dresden Files in 2007 and 2008 under that name, and Harry Dresden was played by Paul Blackthorne. So who is Harry Dresden? So his real name is Harry Blackstone Copperfield Dresden, and what is he? He is a wizard. He is a wizard. He is a private investigator. He is a consultant to the Chicago Police Department. He is the regional commander of the White Council of Wardens. He is the Winter Knight for Queen Mab. He is a lot of things. He has his own island, and he oversees Demon Reach on that island. And there's just all these plethora of things that are Harry. And you get to experience this over the course of these books, which again are not finished. We have 17 books in the series. There's rumors that it's slated to be 25 books long. And so it's a fantastic series. So Harry's parents are both passed. His mother was a very prominent figure in the magical universe. And so that's kind of the story. You know, there's this magic that is not what it seems, and there's what's taking place in the real world, and there's this underworld, and there's other things that go bump in the night type thing. And so Harry's always trying to balance takes place in modern day versus what's taking place in the rules that govern the magical realm. And so he's always under the thumb of the White Council. And, some other interesting things about Harry is he has a giant temple dog named Mouse that he raised from a puppy. And his magic tends to disrupt electronic and devices and electrical signatures. So he doesn't own a lot of modern appliances. He doesn't use lights. He mostly use candles. He doesn't have a hot water heater. He takes cold showers. And so he drives a VW Beetle that he constantly gets shot up and blown up and everything else. And he has a mechanic that he always goes to, and he keeps scrapping parts together to get the VW Beetle running for him. He is also known as the Pizza Lord to a group of pixies that are governed by General Toot Toot. And if you read the stories, you'll know exactly what I mean. He is just a moral-sounded human being. He wants to do what's right. He wants to punish the people that do wrong. And he has a very interesting backstory. The council is always kind of keeping watch over him because in his past, growing up as a young child, when he started to display his magical talent, his mentor at the time, Justin D'Amour, had him under his wing and wanted him to do bad stuff, wanted to do black magic and kill someone, and he ended up having to kill his master. And so Harry's always kind of been on parole with the White Council, so to speak, and he doesn't sit well with some people. He has an amazing group of supporting characters. There's also many characters that are not supportive of Harry, but yet are interesting in their own right. And so I'm going to name some because it would take a long time to go through all of them. But Bob is one of my favorite characters. Bob is the spirit that's trapped inside the skull. And he's very, very old. He's been a servant of wisdom to many different magicians and masters over the course of the centuries. So he is kind of an embodiment of works. He knows spells. He knows lots about the history of magic and what to do in different situations. But yet at the same time, he also loves smutty books and crude humor and half naked co-eds. So Bob is a really interesting character. Michael is a God-bearing Knight of the Cross. He actually wields Fidlacius, which is one of the swords that is embedded with one of the nails from the crucifixion of Christ. And so he's kind of like a Knights Templar type thing, and he's a really good human being, and he's kind of the yin to Harry's yang, so to speak. Butters, Waldo Butters, is an interesting character. He's this medical examiner for Chicago, but yet he became much, much more. He's this polka-loving, medical examiner that turned into one of the Knights of the Cross. You have Molly, who is Michael's oldest daughter, and she becomes kind of Harry's apprentice and under some really interesting circumstances and when her magical powers start to progress. You have Thomas Wraith, who is Harry's stepbrother or half-brother. They share the same mother. He is a vampire in the Red Court. There's many different courts. There's a white court, a red court, a black court of vampires, and they all have their distinctive things about them. He's a very interesting character. You have Gentleman John Marcone, who is this mob boss, runs Chicago, not a very up and standing person, but yet has lots of run-ins with Dresden and may or may not be on his side most of the time or part of the time. He kind of will do anything to maintain his power and was offered to join the White Council in the Accords. And so then you have Murph, who is works with Harry from the very beginning. She runs a special unit, crime unit with the Chicago Police Department. They're really in love, and you can kind of sense it from the beginning, but it's an interesting dynamic relationship that blossoms over the course of these books. So some cool facts, some other stuff that I really enjoy about Harry Dresden and the Dresden File books by Jim Butcher. The overarching story is fantastic. I mean, you get to see Harry progress. You get to see all of these, side characters, supporting characters really progress. Each book has its own kind of entry into the story, and it's building on that story in the previous story. So it's a really, really cool character expansion. The core characters you really grow to love them and see them kind of blossom, and the personalities and their skills and everything else evolve. You get a plethora of new characters, new magical characters, new challenges and hurdles. Harry's in politics with the White Council, and outside of that, it's very, very dynamic. You also get to learn about, magical beasts and, the wizards, the wardens, the werewolves, the vampires, immortal fairies. You have Hades from the underworld. Like, it's crazy. Like, you have one character that is Kris Kringle. It's Santa Claus, and he loves to go on hunts, and it's just you have demons and gods, and it's crazy. So in terms of where to start reading this, I think you have to start with book one, which is Stormfront. I will say, and you can find this in most of the people that talk about the Dresden Files and how much they like him. They say the first 4 or 5 books are not his best. And then it really picks up after that. And I agree that it does. I think when you get past, when you get to book like 6 or 7, the series really takes off. But I think the first 4 or 5 books are really good. I definitely can tell the writing and the dynamic and the storytelling is much, much better as the books go on. But the first 2 or 3 books are really enjoyable from my perspective as well. You definitely need to start with book 1. You can't really just jump into the series at book 10 or 11 or 12. You're going to miss a lot. And you don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss what's going on, because a lot of things make sense the further you go, based on starting with book one. So that's my take in terms of, character. Harry Dresden is such a dynamic character. This series, I look forward to book 18. I'm dying for it, honestly. I've read through this series twice, all 17 books and the short story collection. It's fantastic. I highly recommend, if you are a fan of Audible and you like Audible books as well, I highly recommend that you listen to this series on Audible. The narrator is James Marsters, who played in Buffy and the Vampire Slayer. He is fantastic at these stories. So I really, really recommend you read them on Audible. But if you do read if you do read them, they're well worth your time as well. So that's my take. I hope you find this interesting and informative. If you've read Dresden Files or you're reading Dresden Files, drop me a comment below. These are so well worth your time. You can find them in most used bookstores. They're really quick reads, even, especially the first 5 or 6 books, which are they're smaller, but they're really quick reads. I really enjoy this series, and I hope you enjoy it too. So I will stop talking and we'll end the video. I hope you have a great evening. Thanks.